Pop art painter Jamie Roxx here. Hey, I just finished talking to David Lancaster, filmmaker, writer, director of the new documentary Speed is Expensive, Philip Vincent and the $1 Million Motorcycle. It's a fantastic documentary about motorcycle designer and innovator Philip Vincent. Man, we had a fun chat. Real cool chat. David's fantastic, man. He's cool, turned up to 10. I could talk to that guy for hours. He's just the type of person you meet, they have a million stories in their own life. Anyhow, this is the VIP Patreon ad-free version of this podcast. As the VIP, something we do here on Patreon that you don't have to listen to commercials. You get all the podcasts commercial-free on all the tiers. Here it is, commercial-free. Enjoy. Hey, David Lancaster, filmmaker, writer, director of the fantastic documentary Speed is Expensive, the Philip Vincent and the $1 Million Motorcycle documentary. The 26th. Mr. Lancaster, how are you?
I'm very good. Lovely to talk to you. I'm in London, and it's beginning to be cold.
Oh, man. We are in that part of the year here in South Florida where it rains every afternoon. I feel like I'm in London sometimes. It just never stops. Crazy. Hey, Dan, I wanted to ask you, because I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, so I grew up around car culture and machinery. How did this documentary come about? Were you, always a motorcycle guy, and you said, this needs to be made? Because I didn't know that much about I heard of the motorcycle, of course, but I didn't know that much about the man behind the Vincent.
Yeah, I am a motorcycle guy, and I've been around Vincent's all my life. My parents had one, or my father rode one most of his life. And they travelled to Europe on theirs in the 50s and early 60s, before my brother and I were born. And so I'd known Vincent, and I knew the story about Philip Vincent, and he'd started off as a wealthy, I would say, upper-class background. He went to Harrow, which is like Eton. It's one of the best private schools. And in some ways, I was, for many years, too close to the story. And I worked as a journalist. And then I thought, there is a really good story here. I hooked up with a wonderful friend of mine, Jerry Jenkinson, who's my co-producer. And we thought, let's try and get on tape as many people as we can whilst they're still with us who built the motorcycles, worked with Vincent. That was the sort of embryonic start of the project. And then, we've been working on it for 7 or 8 years. I'm not going to count. But every year or so, because Jerry was working as a lighting director in the theatre and I was by then teaching journalism, and so we did it in the downtime. Every 6 months or 12 months, something new would come into the play. So we discovered this wealth of films that Vincent had taken himself, which I knew existed, but didn't know the extent. And so we got those restored. Most people had looked at them and said, there's not many motorbikes. To tell the story of the man, they were great. You've got Vincent at the airport, getting on a boat, getting on a train. His love life.
Being his wife.
Is portrayed. Yeah. That was a milestone. Then Jay Leno, through our US producer, James Salter, they said, come and have a chat and we'll talk about Vincent. So we went to California. So that was another step. Wow. It sort of grew and grew. And obviously, these things don't grow on their own. You have to push.
It's an amazing story. The interesting thing, I wanted to ask, I'm not in the movie business. I'm a painter by trade. I paint pictures of people and stuff. But I've done all kinds of crazy stuff in my life. And I'm watching your documentary, and I'm thinking to myself, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is when you meet your heroes, sometimes you find out you meet them works at all. And I don't think that you shied away from that in this documentary. I don't think it was looking down your nose or anything at anybody or how he was. And the guy went through a lot. My father, he was a mechanical engineer, and he was always self-employed. And he works in big companies, GM and Ford and whatnot for a minute, but mostly was self-employed. And he used to tell me, you have to remember a guy named Sherman Bismarck. And I said, who is that? What did he do? And he goes, he made a lot of money, but no one's ever heard of him. And I was watching that, I'm sure you guys have it over there in the UK, the Antiques Roadshow. It's one of my favorite shows. As a painter, I'll watch this because there's a little fantasy in the back of my mind. Now, in 100 years, maybe one of my paintings will be on the version of Antiques. A legacy. That's what Philip Vincent had. Yes, he died, didn't have a bunch of money. And one would think he would with what they're worth and everything. But he had a legacy. And you presented this in a really cool way. I think that's incredible. How does his family react to it? Are they wanting to run you out of town? What's going on?
They're great. And I've known the family because my father knew Philip Vincent a little, and I'm not sure whether I met Vincent. I think I might have done at some Vincent rally. But the family have been brilliant because they've very much come to terms that he has this legacy, and the Vincent motorcycle is as famous as most motorcycles could ever. But the money ran out, and by the end they were making motorcycles. They developed this Series D model, which was fully enclosed, very controversial. He saw the future, and of course, most modern large capacity motorcycles are fully enclosed. That's how they look. But it doesn't mean the market was there in 1954 or 55, and it wasn't there. He could suffer from a technical overreach. So the enclosures were made of fiberglass, which was quite new in the automotive industry. Some people developed it really well, like Colin Chapman at Lotus. He's kind of ahead of the game. And as we said in the film, you can be too far ahead, you can be too far behind, and neither is a great place to be. And so that was the final model. And then he never worked for anybody. That's the interesting thing as well. He was a motorcycle manufacturer from the age of 19. And because he had the family money.
David, I don't know about your father or your family. I don't think mine would have gave me that much money at 19. I know he wouldn't have.
It's an incredible thing. One has this idea that you do as you're told until you're 21 or 25. But I guess they saw that, according to Dee, his daughter, his parents, could see that he was determined, could see that he wasn't attending the lectures that he should have been at Cambridge. He dropped out. But essentially the college master said, he's spending more time, as Dee says in the film, playing around with motorcycles than studying mechanical engineering at King's College. I think £30,000 was mentioned, which was a fortune in the 20s and 30s. And then he hired this brilliant Australian engineer called Phil Irving, who is worthy of a film himself. He came over to England on a back of a motorcycle sidecar outfit, but overland. They got attacked by bears and things. And so he landed, and him and Vincent hit it off. Lennon and McCartney sort of partnership. Vincent had these high ideals and vaulting ambition, and Irving was just a brilliant engineer at making something work, going through the fine detail. I wouldn't say Vincent didn't do that, but one of our contributors said you need the visionary, the hands-on person.
To make the dream happen.
A sort of match in heaven.
It really chronicles his life. It makes you look at your own life. You go, yeah, maybe I could have done some few things different. Or, who knows? Who knows? And there's some moments when Vincent's grandson meets Irving's his widow, and they were talking about the rotary engine. Folks, watch the movie. When it happened, Irving looked at the plan and wasn't excited about it. And she had to say that to his grandson, and she did. And that was just over a glass of wine. That was a pointed piece in the movie.
It was amazing to introduce the two of them because they'd never met. One of our contributors in the film, a lovely guy, Roy Harper, he would try when Phil was in the UK, he would say, let's get together with Phil Vincent. Irving was always a bit reluctant. I think Roy Harper said he didn't want to let Vincent down and be negative, but he could see that the rotary engine was, as Mazda have found, Mazda have made it work, but it's cost them billions.
A lot of money.
Complicated, a lot of money. It's a wonderful idea. You know, in theory, you dispense the piston. You know, automotive engineers is about building vehicles, not prototypes and high ideals.
Absolutely.
In the film, there's this accident which he suffered, which did seem to have changed his personality.
Let me ask you on that scene, when you showed this, was that just something you guys created? This is
We were filming in a place called Montlhéry, which is a bank circuit near Paris. Mm-hmm. We were filming Vincent's there because we got the okay to go on the track. Amazing. A lovely guy called Peter was going out on the track on his Black Lightning replica. Peter Fox is a very fast rider. So we said, if you can get up the banking, and we thought, well, that would be great footage for when we talk about the records that were set at Montlhéry. I mean, then he fell off, and he was fine. We were all running around, and his wife was there. His wife spoke even less French than I do. I was trying to communicate with the guy, and then we got the GoPro off the bike, and Peter was fine. He twisted his wrist and hurt his thumb. You know, we looked at it, and we thought, that's a Vincent having an accident on a racetrack. And said to Peter, can we use this footage? And he said, oh, no, go get it with English. Oh, God, you've got to. So we thought we couldn't have staged that, or we could have staged it and probably spent $100,000 staging it. It was another stroke of good fortune in a way. Nobody was injured, but we got a Vincent crashing.
It's almost as if someone were looking down and gave a little push, gave a little help.
I know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It would have missed a gear. I think that's how he did crash. There was a gear shift that didn't happen, so then he was carrying too much speed into the corner on the gravel. Yeah.
And you know what the listeners may not realize? This was back in the day. These were machines that were going at a tremendous speed. Now, the difference between a motorcycle and a car, if you don't know, you're surrounded by stuff in a car. You're not on a motorcycle. And a lot of people die. It's dangerous. You got to be real careful with motorcycles.
Oh, it's, you know, those...
Not for the faint of heart.
No, those famous Daredevil images where people used to stand on the wings of a plane at fun fairs and shows. It's not like that on a motorcycle because you're going 80 miles an hour. The wind is whipping around you. As you say, it's completely different to being in a car. It's more like flying because you lean into the corners. It's a wonderful experience when it comes together and you're confident and you're in the zone.
It's amazing. This is a fantastic documentary. And you guys are premiering this in L.A. on the 20th, right? That's in Los Angeles at the Monica Film?
No, it took me a while. It's the Laemmle.
Laemmle.
The Laemmle. It's the Santa Monica branch of the Laemmle chain. It's an indie cinema chain. And it's playing tomorrow evening at 7:30. And then it goes on.
Well, if you're in the area, folks,
release.
That's where you need to be. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then it's everywhere. It's global on the 26th. You can pre-order it. I'm on the page right now on Amazon. I will blast this out on all my social media. And folks, this isn't a technical movie. This is about a man's life. And it's fascinating. And ups and downs. You know, you work for yourself and making movies. Everybody has ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
We try to have more ups.
And we wanted to portray that. One or two Vincent little diehards. It's a bit depressing. Well, it's not depressing. And most people who've watched it, he did what he wanted to do. He wanted to build the best motorcycle in the world, and he achieved that. He had his ups and downs in his first great life.
That didn't work out.
Then he had a tough period. He had a family, he had a wonderful daughter, Dee. Somebody asked me the other day, was he fulfilled? I think he was. The quotes that we use at the end of the film are what he said very near the end of his life. And his son-in-law, Dee's husband, Robin, was driving him to an event. And Robin was like, oh, how long is this going to go on for? The Vincent, there's loads of modern bikes coming on. And Vincent always had this confidence. He said, this will carry on. The Vincents will be spoken. And then one sells for $1 million.
Exactly. Maybe I have a different perspective than other people, and maybe David does too. We're creative types. We like to create things, so we think in legacy. I'm sure David would like an infinity pool. I would too. I would like to be able to afford a Vincent Black Lightning. That would be great. But at the end of the day, for ourselves, it's about creating something. Was he fulfilled? Yes. People are making movies about him. If he would have won a scratch off and been a millionaire or something, no, nobody's going to make a movie about that. Nobody cares. It's cool for a day.
No, I think that's right. That's why I admire him massively, because he did it his way, as the cliche has it, and the motorcycles were and are fast and are beautiful. He could have been, the phrase is flogging a dead horse, isn't it? I always find that the most visual of phrases, but he didn't. He produced the best motorcycle of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And folks, and this is illustrated in the film, made it through you might have heard the Great Crash, the Depression. He said, okay, I'm going to make an expensive motorcycle. That's what I'm going to do. People are standing in soup lines. No problem. This is what they did. Recognize that market. It was amazing. And it was just the one guy, I forget his name, he was the assistant, the sidecar guy. He's I think the last person in the film shown, maybe near the last. But it was great. I think he summed it up. He said, you got to watch out for getting a lot of yes men around you. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was John Surtees, the only person to win world championships on a motorcycle and then on a car. And like most of the contributors, he's sadly passed away. But he was amazing, and he worked at Vincent's, and his father knew Vincent in the 30s. And he had this great clarity of recall, which was wonderful. Took quite a lot of effort to get the interview with him. He had the reputation for being quite private, which is fair enough. And I went down and saw him on my Vincent, and then we corresponded a bit. But once he sat down and started talking on the camera, it was just wonderful. It was another sort of step change in the whole movie's progression. He said, okay, we've got John Surtees, world champion, and he set records on a Vincent when he was 19. This great recall of events, crystal clear, quite amazing.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a film, I don't make movies. I don't know how this is done, but when he started talking, you saw the memories in his memory bank come alive. And he lit up. He was there. Yeah. It was captured in this film. It was amazing. I'm a big fan of this.
A very interesting guy as well. He had his ups and downs. My favorite John Surtees story is he was driving for Ferrari and he won the F1 championship, I think, 63 or 64. This is after winning the motorcycle 500cc championship. And he got snubbed by the Ferrari team manager at Le Mans, and he was given the slower car. It happened. Somebody gets a bigger motor. John Surtees being John, instead of going to the bar and having a few drinks and going, yeah, guy's an idiot, he drove overnight to Maranello to confront Ferrari the next morning. He got there at 6, waited for Enzo Ferrari to turn up, and basically told him, you take your team and I'm off. You guys have just lost the driver. And Ferrari didn't win a world championship for many years, and then John drove for Honda but never won another world championship. The confidence or the arrogance. I don't care if it's Enzo Ferrari. I'm driving over the Alps during the night, and I'm going to be there when he gets to his desk.
That's amazing.
It's great, isn't it?
That's a big set on him. That's all I'm saying. That's a big set. Oh, wow. Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Thank you, David, for making this documentary. And you, very quickly, 10 years. You could have been a doctor, David, in the same amount of time. This is amazing. This was made.
I know.
And
I know.
It introduced me to so much that I didn't know, and it really made my day watching this. I think a lot of people are really going to appreciate this.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad it's worked, as you say, about a film about someone who pursues their dream. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's very true. No, that's what he did.
Absolutely. And if he could do it, somebody listening to this, who knows? Yeah. David made this film, folks. He made it happen. Nobody just came up and gave him $1 million and said, hey, make a movie. It's a lot of work. I can only imagine. Here it is. There you go. Another testament. I don't know, David. They're going to be making movies about you making this movie before you know it. Well, very cool, sir. Thank you for taking the time and calling in from London and all of that. I can't wait. Let me ask you real quick before you go. I know it might be 10 years, but is there? I want to see more work. Are things in the pipe?
Yes, there's a project in the pipeline, and I've done a couple of interviews. It's about a British food writer.
Oh.
I won't say too much, partly because it's just so early in the process.
Right,
but it's
right.
a similar period, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I'm quite fascinated that period, and it's a woman who did things her own way. I'm clearly fascinated by those characters. So, yeah, it'll be hopefully not another 8 or 10 years. Hope a little bit quicker on this. I've learned some lessons and some tricks.
The learning curve there. And
yeah.
And you've got a proof of project. You know, when this makes $1 million or $1 billion, you can say, here's my track record. Let's go. Yeah. Here's the address. Let's make it happen. Very cool. Well, congratulations, and thanks again for making this. This is fantastic. I want everybody to check this out. I'm going to be blasting the Amazon out here, and you can watch it on your screens, or you can the DVD. There's links right there for everything. So, be very cool. Do you ever have one of those mornings, David, where you wake up and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this today. There's one cat in Florida that hopes you do. Seriously. You're real good at this. Very cool.
Kind of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Yeah. And thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me. Much appreciated.
Have a good one, sir.
Thanks.
And there we go, folks. That's going to wrap it up for us today. We will be back on Thursday. Be sure to check my website anytime you want to see the upcoming shows, poproxradio.com or jamierocks.us. They will both get you to the same website. And, you can see what's happening. This, of course, will be converted to a podcast. We're going to blast it out everywhere. We're on over 770 podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Pandora, all the big ones. And, folks, there are links. I forgot to mention, I was so busy talking to David, I forgot to mention, we have links to speedisexpensive.com, the IMDb page, the Amazon pre-order page to grab. Even over on X, formerly known as Twitter, we have the link. And those links stay active when this is converted to a podcast. It's very cool. This is, I should have asked David about it. There's so many fascinating things about this. The cover art of the documentary, I was blown away by it. And it's just a really good documentary. Okay, folks, we will see you next time. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. And remember, be kind to other people. Be patient. Now, it's a weird world. Don't be a Karen on a YouTube. That's all I'm saying. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.
This has been pop art painter Jamie Roxx's Pop Roxx Radio Talk Show. It has been executive produced by Jamie Roxx, recorded at his studio in Deerfield Beach in South Florida. All rights reserved by Pop Roxx Limited for broadcast on Blog Talk Radio.